We're facing a grand mystery. I think the true picture is totally different than what you get. It's not that science is encroaching on the domain of faith and that the Bible are in conflict. They're kind of talking about different things, even in the context of Adam and Eve. We are really trying to figure out in these questions what's happening in this grand gap between what we know certainly from science and what we know certainly from Scripture. Now, you might actually have some ideas of what's certainly known from Scripture or from science, but I guarantee you that there's been a lot of diversity in the community of all believers, in the body of all believers, about what Adam is and isn't and what Scripture does and doesn't tell us, and that's okay. What we're facing here is a grand mystery. And I know mystery is fearful for some people. This was really fearful for a lot of Christians too. This is a picture of the grandness of the universe. If you go back to biblical times, they thought that the universe was not nearly this grand. Most people, if not all people who were learned, to believe that the sun was the center of the universe. The earth was the center of the universe. The sun went around it, and you were just seeing like holes being poked in the sky. Those are the stars. We find out that it's much grander than we ever thought. We are much, much smaller than we thought, to the point where we think this is actually the correct interpretation of Psalms when David says, what is man that he is mindful of him? To understand that there's really no reason for a God this grand to care about us. And that is totally true. But I tell you, we have a deeper sense of that than probably even David did at that time because of this. And it scared some Christians. And then, as people start talking about maybe there's life out there, even to this day, it scares some Christians. I think the right response to this is C.S. Lewis's response. He wrote books. It's called the Space Trilogy. You guys heard of this? Imagining what it's like if there was life on other planets and making sense of it. It was a response to mystery of curiosity and creativity. It was funny, I was on stage just a couple weeks ago. There was an atheist on stage when they were talking about stuff, and it was just really funny to me. It was really beautiful. We were sitting there talking, we were talking about different things, we just kind of found so much common ground. He says, man, I really understand where you're coming from. I said, yeah, I really understand where you're coming from too. In fact, if I had encountered Jesus, I'd probably just be like you. And I told him, I really like you. And he says, yeah, you've clearly seen something I haven't. I said, well, that's true. And so, given that you haven't seen it, I think you're in a really good place. And then we started talking about it, and he said, have you read, this is on stage, it's all videotaped. It's not online yet. This is just a couple weeks ago. He said, have you read the Space Trilogy yet? It's amazing. That hideous strength, it talks about true evil. And he kind of goes on and on. I hadn't even heard the story before. And you have an atheist telling me how true evil exists in this world. He knows something about morality that makes no sense in his worldview, that is exposed by a Christian just creatively wondering, not because he knows it's true, but because that's what Christians do when they encounter the grand mysteries that God has given us. They wonder. They approach them creatively, and it leads to the flourishing of our faith. Where's the Christians like that in our time? Where are they? They're fearful right now. They're living as if Jesus has not risen from the dead yet. This is another one too. This is the multiverse. There's actually, despite what you've heard, we don't know for sure it exists, but there is evidence for it. Christians respond to this with fear. They think, well, wait a minute. I really like the fine-tuning argument. Is that going away? But, I thought our proof, the way that we know that God exists, is Jesus rising from the dead. What does that have to do with the multiverse? And this isn't something new. When C.S. Lewis encountered the multiverse and what this means, he gave us the Chronicles of Narnia. The Chronicles of Narnia, you know that story, right? Aslan, the lion. He says to the children, he's like, I have another name in your world. It's up to you. The reason you've been brought here so you might know me here, so that when you go there, you might know me by my real name. Isn't that beautiful? And, C.S. Lewis actually explained this. He said that Narnia isn't a dream. It's not a child's game, it's like a portal to another world in another dimension. And it's one of the clearest explanations of the gospel you can see given to children. Like, it's not a response of fear. We are not called to fear. Like, the flourishing of our faith is in creativity and curiosity, not ambivalent in curiosity. Go to the next slide. Right now, this is the mystery that faces the church. I have no slide to show you next. You have a decision. You have a decision. Are you going to be fearful? Or are you going to be curious and creative? Thanks a lot.